Hi, it's Darin Eppich. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to talk about the rental market in Los Angeles. It's kind of the same in a lot of cities nationwide, but we're going to talk about the rental market because you're seeing a lot of people have difficulty finding rentals. I'm even having clients reach out for their friends or for themselves if they're like downshifting or they decided they wanted to, stop looking to buy for now and they want to rent, and they're finding the same kind of, speed bump. So usually we talk about buying and selling property in Los Angeles and real estate in general and mortgage interest rates, etc. But today we're going to talk a little bit about the rental market in Los Angeles. If you like the video you see today, please like the video. If you want to see more content like this, please subscribe. I have a new video every week. And comment below. I'd love for you to like the video, comment below, give me feedback. It helps, boost this video, but also helps me with new ideas for you guys at home. Like I said, the rental market, it's pretty crazy, just kind of, very similar to the housing market. Right now we're at a 3.5% vacancy rate in Los Angeles, which is, compared to 6% we had in, fall 2020. So in about 2 years, we've seen, vacancy rates basically drop, almost 50%. I'll tell you many stories I've heard about people looking for rentals or apartments and they can't find anything because they're getting beat out left and right. Also, the pricing for rentals is the highest it's been in 42 years. And there's a number of factors for that and we'll go into that. But like I said, if you like the video, please, like the video here, subscribe, comment below, tell me if, full of doggy doo-doo is, I can't remember what movie that's from, but someone quoted that before. So here we go to the main factors of why the rental market is so competitive and highly priced now. Here we go. So the first factor, number one, vacancy rate. It's 3.5%. Like I said, this is, almost 50% less than it was in 2020. They expect it might even go lower because everyone's moving back into the cities. Just to give you an idea of where we're at in the market right now for rentals, like I said, biggest inflation in 42 years. If I didn't say this before, it went up 16% year over year, April 2021 to 2022. Vacancy rate of 3.5% is one of the reasons. Like I said, that's the lowest since 2001. You hear these stories and, I've read these articles in LA Times, OC Register, etc. You have these applicants moving here and people that are looking in the, $2,500 a month and below apartment range or, at multifamily units, etc. And they're, looking at 50 places or applying to 20 plus places or more. I can't tell you how many times I get reached out to from friends of friends that are like, I can't find a place. And I'm like, it's competitive. I can tell you how competitive because probably two of the last three people that I've helped find even, $5,000, $11,000, I think $8,000 a month rentals. They paid cash or all year up front plus 2-month deposit. So even at the luxury level, rentals are super competitive. I actually think they're even more competitive at the $2,500 or below because everyone can afford that if they're moving to LA. It's more, it's everyone. It's a mass populous city, so that has a lot to do with it. And just to give you an idea, these landlords, since they know this, they can be very picky too. So if you don't have great credit or solid credit or 3 times minimum income of what the actual rental is, I've seen it. I've dealt with landlords, representing them and having solid candidates, but maybe their credit's a little off or something like that. They can be picky and say someone else will come along that's better. And they can be picky right now because they got, they've had some issues the last couple of years, so I think they're being even extra pickier. So that makes it even more competitive to look for a property if you're looking for a rental. Number 2, pandemic lagging rent collection. Sounds funny saying that. But, give you an idea, a lot of these landlords are looking to recover the costs they lost the last couple of years. Can't tell you how many times I've also heard clients that bought investment properties that the tenant was paying, then they became the owner. Actually had a client have to get a lawyer and remove someone because they weren't paying the rent, because they were trying to use the pandemic and COVID situation as a reason not to pay rent. And you have a lot of these landlords that have had to deal with this. So if they got the tenant out, or the tenant actually moved out eventually, or because they didn't pay, you have these landlords that are like, I need to make up for it. So they're charging more, and because of the inventory, they're getting it. So they're making up for these costs, or making up for these losses that they had the last couple of years. It's not every landlord, but there's a good handful of them that got kind of burned. So I think that's another reason why you see some of these, they know that the market is competitive. They know that inventory is low for rentals. So they're quite honestly taking advantage of it. Some people say they're being greedy. I can't imagine what it would be like to cover cover a loss if someone's living there and using your rental and they're not paying. That would be heartbreaking as a property owner or landlord. I do see circumstances where I think they're being greedy, but then I also see the other side where I'm like, if I was put in their situation, I would try to make up for my losses. So I think that's what's really going on too. That's what this LA Times article I just read was talking about. This gentleman that breaks down why rents are going up. It's been done for years, and they say that's one of the factors. So that's what I'm sharing. So number 3, raising prices to cover, maintenance or property management costs, or just property management costs in general. Water costs more. Cleaning supplies cost more because of inflation. Property managers, they want more money because everything costs more. So if everything else is going up, I would think that the overall nut has to as well. They got to cut, to make their profit or cover their ass. So that's what's been going on. I mean, you hear the same thing with buying and selling, or people buying properties and having to renovate them, or builders, etc. Materials, everything is up dramatically. We're on the highest inflation, 40 plus years. So it should be no surprise that landlords are also raising their prices, just like every retailer, every company, to cover their profits. So that's a huge factor. That makes a lot of sense if you're a landlord. And tenants and renters, everyone, the renter always wants to, there's so many, can't even tell you the circumstances. They want the best deal possible in the most unlikely circumstances, like when they're competing against 5 other people. They think they deserve a deal. Everyone wants a deal. Let's just be honest here. Everyone always wants a deal, but that's not always going to be the case. The number 4 factor, and I came up with this myself just based on what I was seeing in the marketplace this year. You have a handful of people that were looking to buy, that were looking for a while, and they got buyer's fatigue, or they got burned out, or they just were like, I need a place. Some people, they did they sold their place and did a lease back. And then they thought they could find a property to buy within that 2-month lease back period. Not always. I actually, was helping someone. We kept getting beat out. Another person I met, they've been looking for months, and I met them at one of our lease listings in Los Feliz. They decided to rent because they got it just became a hassle, and they had too much going on to keep looking to buy a property at a time. They think they'll come back, and my first clients that I was mentioned earlier, they're starting to look again because they only rented a place for 6 months knowing that they wanted to buy. But I think you had a lot of people in LA decided this spring to rent because they were looking to change their living environment or upgrade, and then they decided they went month to month, or maybe they were new to LA and they just were looking and doing a short-term rental and thinking they were going to buy. And you see an influx of these people that went to decide to rent. So now you have all these home buyers, which were a lot of them in Q1 and end of last year. Now they decided to rent because maybe they couldn't find the property they wanted. They got priced out. So we definitely saw that trend. That doesn't mean that people aren't going to leave and buy, because at certain price points, for example, I was pulling stats. I think in LA County in the last 30 days, there was 442 properties that rented over $6,000 a month. All of them rented for basically at almost 100% of the rental asking price. There's a number of them that actually rented for, over asking. I saw it a lot, in the last few months especially. But I bet I could pull off that sheet and see a number that, definitely a number of those were competitive, and some people paid more than the asking price to get it. because there's nothing out there. I mean, like I said, it's like what the lowest rental inventory in years. I think since 2001, they said. LA is competitive, always has been, was before the pandemic. I think I mentioned earlier, you know, a number of people paid cash or up front just to get the rental property over others. I have one idea, and anytime I see, and the reason why I mentioned the people over $6,000 a month, I think anyone who's paying over $6,000 a month in Los Angeles, unless they don't, you know, believe in the history of appreciation in LA, which is usually 10% year over year, last 30 years or 25 years, something like that. And that's not including the last 2 years. That was dramatically even more. But if you're spending that much money on rent, I really think if you have the down payment, you should look at buying. I mean, you're gonna get your money back in equity and write-offs, and it would make sense. But that's just me on going to my buy and selling spiel. Back to the rental market. I have noticed that it's changing slightly, but you know, anything below $2,500 a month is gonna be super competitive. I mean, apartments are scarce. I can't tell you how many times that people are telling me like they cannot find anything that's even remotely reasonable or decent to live in. A lot of people are upping their budgets for rentals, but I did notice that a slight change when I looked recently, but I think it's gonna be competitive all summer. And we'll see how the rest of the year goes, but so far, the rental market is like the housing market. It has been really competitive, super low inventory. If you have any questions about the best websites to look for a place besides using a realtor, please let me know, comment below, contact me directly. If you need help finding a luxury rental, contact me, my information's below. I do it, you know, I don't do it often, but I do it to help clients and help people move to Los Angeles. It's like one of my things, because then I can help them, you know, get acclimated to the neighborhoods or to Los Angeles in general. But like I said, if you like the video you see today, I hope this information was helpful. Please like my video. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe. The rental market, like I said, is just as, you know, hot as the buying, selling real estate in Los Angeles as well. Until next time, have a wonderful day. Thank you so much. Take care.